Hi, welcome to the Pink Line Podcast. This week's episode, I have Diana here. Now, Diana is a special guest because she actually hosts the Life and In Between podcast, where they discuss all sorts of things helping people in all walks of life. Diana, welcome to the Pink Line Podcast.
Thank you so much, Cindy. I am so excited to be here and honored. I'm really excited to just kind of dive in and talk and have our cafecito conversation. Just kind
Yeah.
of have a conversation.
Exactly. And for those of you who've never experienced that particular podcast, it's a great podcast and you guys should listen to it. But Diana um, kind of stumbled into my live on TikTok one day and we got to know each other. And she has such a unique beginning and she has a unique story that I thought that it might be good to share with all of you. Because as we start to learn to trust ourselves, as we start to explore our own intuitive hits and look inside of ourselves for more answers or get closer to our loved ones who have crossed over, this intuition thing really is something to explore. So, Miss Diana, could you tell our viewers and our listeners how you got started in understanding you were very intuitive?
I think it started on early on when I was a little girl, a young
Mhm.
age. It's just those kind of things like when you realize. I think I was called. My family thought I was a child with born with, a wise child. You know, how, like there's just certain children that
Yeah.
and so I was kind of labeled that type of child, but it was basically my instincts that always told me to follow. And when I say instincts, it's more like that internal feeling inside. It's a
Mhm.
feeling everyone has, but I think because of society and all the distractions that we have, we drown them out.
Mhm.
So, but I was always in tune and I listened to that from an early on age. And I think that's why it sharpened through the course of my life because I didn't ignore it, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And
And a lot of people do.
exactly. And that's the part I think that everyone can develop that. I think it's our animal innate instincts that we all have.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
and so we kind of say, oh, we dismiss it. I don't think that, but it's just that kind of thing. Like when you feel like when you're talking to somebody, you're like, I have a feeling that this person doesn't like me, or you just sense something there and don't ignore that. It's because there's some truth to it, that feeling.
Absolutely. Actually, I want to kind of break that down a little bit because that brings me to an interesting thought, right? So, as you're talking and you're saying, oh, I felt like this person didn't like me. What does that feel like inside of your body? Can you describe that for people? Do you have, because everybody's different in how we feel, right? So, it's not going to be cookie cutter for everyone. But for you, do you have a sensation that you feel? Is it a knowing? Do you have like something that flashes across your mind? Like, how does it appear to you?
So and this is going to sound I guess maybe because my abilities have evolved, it comes
Hmm.
in different forms. The
Okay.
main one is the feeling. Like I get this feeling right here at the center of my chest,
Hmm.
depending on who the person is or who I'm interacting with. I feel like an overwhelming either anxiety or anger, something just kind of floods right there. And I feel that tightness there. And that's really the one that predominantly takes over, where the one I feel the most. So I may
Okay.
be around somebody and based on when they're talking to me, um, I start feeling my body tensing up and I feel this thing right here. And so based on that, it could be like sadness.
Hmm.
So if that person is, I'm getting something there like sadness or like, um, an awful feeling like a fearful like it's like a nasty this person is no good, it's like my body's telling me, so I feel that tense, my muscles get tense, I feel my chest getting tight,
Hmm.
I feel like my senses get heightened in some way depending on
Okay.
the interaction.
Okay.
um if I feel like it's a very because there's certain people that you feel that are good and you're around them, you feel very relaxed and you feel very um, uh, it's a feeling like all walls, all barriers go down. Like you feel like you're in a safe space. Like you feel like you can be yourself, you know?
Right. Right.
Um,
So
uh,
completely polar opposite of the fear-based
that fear
feeling.
base. So
Yeah.
you begin to identify.
Mhm.
And so when and then the other things, body language. I look at the body language of the individual, how they're talking, their eyes. Something about the eyes tells me a lot about a person.
Yeah.
So when I start looking into their eyes, because I love to make eye contact. I'm a person that make eye contact. And so when I look, when they talk about the windows, your eyes are the windows to your soul. That is
Yes.
so very true. Like you
Yes.
see it. There's some people, I don't know if you've ever had that encounter where you look at someone in their eyes and it's like they're medicated, like they're dead. I don't know how to explain it. It's like you look into their eyes and it's like something is not connected there, or you could see joy.
Interesting. Yeah,
I
I
don't
can see joy and then I can see wisdom in some people, like my father-in-law. When I looked in my father-in-law's eyes near the end, it was like I saw the universe, which was really bizarre. I never experienced anything like that before, but I do hear people be like, it's like his eyes were evil or his eyes were dead or something like that. And I'm going, I haven't experienced that. So, but I've heard others say that. So when I maybe do experience it or I'm around somebody like that, I'll know what that might feel like, you know? Um, what about when somebody is being a little shady or like trying to manipulate you? Or is there any hit you get there?
um yes, it's like a pattern, and I think maybe that's also maybe psychology plays into a role as well, because you can tie it into psychology.
Interesting. Okay.
Body language, everything. And so when you're in tune, these feelings, you're also studying body language. How
Right.
people, they don't want to make that eye contact with you, but you also have to keep in mind that there is cultural differences across. There are certain cultures that's disrespectful to look into someone's eyes, so they they um they bow their head, and it's not that they're being deceptive.
Mm, mhm.
uh, but it's because of the culture of not being disrespectful into looking to a person's eyes. But that's when tone of voice comes in, the inflection of the voice. When you hear, there's something about a person's voice.
Mhm.
So all of these things are being like pieces together. It's like one big puzzle. So as I'm interacting with an individual, I begin to piece those things, go by the instinct that goes in, what I see in their
Mhm.
eyes, their body language, their tone, the way shifty. There's some people that for me, like it amplifies their voice when I hear the like shadiness, like a car salesman. I guess the best way you could see it,
Yeah.
like when they start
Yeah.
talking rapidly, they try to convince you, or they're trying really hard, and you're like, "But why are you trying so hard?" And so this is where logic comes into play, and
Right.
but all of this is part of our instinct because of our lived experiences that we've had,
Mhm.
we've interacted in the past that demonstrates same kind of attributes, you know?
Right. Right.
So as you start piecing them together and your intuition, and then every so often, and this doesn't really happen often, but it happens to me where I hear my internal voice speak to me. We all have that internal voice, our subconscious voice, we want to call it, like our inner voice.
Mhm.
And I hear it. Like I hear it may come in and may say, watch out. Or a word may just boom, or
Yeah.
some, and that comes in. Uh,
Mhm.
and so I'm like, ooh, where did that come from? And so you could associate it with your thought process, and it could be your body telling you. It's your body kind of telling you, aside from that emotion, but it's also telling you mentally the words are now like I hear the voice, boom, it's a voice, like boom. And so that's another way. Does it happen often? Not much, but it does happen. But I think it's when I'm probably not listening to the other parts of my intuition that
Right.
kicks in. That's like something that kicks in. And I think another occasion is and this has only happened to me 3 times. And people say this, and I've researched this, and I forgot the name of what it, and I have to look it up. But you actually when I quickly look at a person, I see their mask as the mask comes off. I don't know if that explains, you know.
Yeah, it because I'm the same way. That kinda I can see right through I tell my husband I'm now a human lie detector test. Like, the mask comes off and I can see who they really are. Yeah, for sure. I don't mean for it to happen, it just does.
Exactly, and so that happens, like, and it happens very rapidly. So as I'm not seeing it all the time in that person, so I may be looking at you,
Right.
and I make a slight move, and I look back at you, and then the mask comes off, and I see it, and
Interesting.
I see I see you,
Right.
and then it goes away. But it's a quick, fast thing, and so using so it's several different things. So I've been in tune with that. I'm aware. Listen to your
Mhm.
body. Listen to the voice. Listen to your visual. Look into the eyes. Study the body language, the voice tone. So these are different things that I go by, and so when you start using it all at once, you
Right.
pretty much kind of pick up on that person. You're like, okay.
Totally, and that's what reading energy is all about, right? So it's like some people like me, as a medium, I'll pick up on subtle cues that are maybe not as obvious to other people just because I'm very in tune with my senses and my body and how it responds to certain things. And so for each one of us, that is very different, right? And so for you, I mean, you have your points, you have your keys that you kind of listen to or you're paying attention to. You're very sensitive to it because you've gotten used to it over time. It's been your lifelong thing. Here's the problem. A lot of people, like you said, are so distracted they're not paying attention to it. But they still have it because people have had to read the room for their whole lives. Okay, a lot of people have. Some people are totally clueless to it whatsoever, but most people will have some sort of energy pickup and not even be able to identify that they're doing it, that they're not in key or in tune to hearing it or feeling it or sensing it, right? So that's what I'm trying to help people with is like identify what it is and then listen to the cues of your own body because your own body is going to tell you exactly how high of alert you need to be on or what to pay attention to, and then not ignoring it. So, question for you, have you ever ignored it? And what were the consequences of ignoring it? Because we all have, right?
I would say it was, when I was much younger, I was a
Mhm,
young teenage girl. I
mhm.
fell in love with this my first love. It was my first love, and the father of my children and my first husband. And then he became my ex-husband. But I saw the signs. I felt a lot of things there, but I thought I could save him and change him, and that was a common mistake. That was a mistake that I made because I think that as a person that's a giver and that we love to give and we love to help, we think that we can change people. And as we get older, we have to realize that we can't rescue people. We
Hmm.
can offer advice
What? What are you
and
talking about?
yeah, we offer advice, kind of guidance and everything. But at the end of the day, we are only responsible for one person only, and that's ourselves.
Yeah,
And then when we have children, we guide them. We're
right.
there to implement and give them the guide and but ultimately they're responsible for their journey, you know?
Mhm,
We are there
mhm.
to teach them, to guide them, and then they are on their own journey. And I think the common mistake is that people make, and I made that mistake with my first husband, was I thought I could save him. I'm gonna be I believe in him. I'm gonna save him. I'm gonna for because of love. The fact
Mm,
that he loves us, he
right.
is going to, and unfortunately he had his demons and his issues and
Mm.
his things that he had to go through. So I failed to listen to my instinct there. Many times at work, work related stuff
Well,
when
yeah.
you just feel certain things and I dismiss it and kind of like that. No, it's okay. And then I was right. I was right, you know? It was one of those things.
I'm sort of, I think back on my life at certain pivotal like points and stuff. And so when you were just pointing out, I tried to change this man to get him to like save him and to like help fix him. Well, of course, we've learned a little bit about that, and just kind of growing into ourselves with age and wisdom. But that in and of itself, I see as a form of resistance, right? Like you're resisting what your instinct was trying to tell you from the beginning, or you're resisting the natural flow of where you're really supposed to be because we get confused with our choices and then like forcing something,
Yes.
because we desire it or we want it to be so versus allowing the flow to just kind of work for us. Somebody once told me this like analogy about, do you try to swim upriver against the flow or do you just allow the flow to take you where you need to go? The river will just take you where you need to go if you just allow it to take you rather than trying to fight it and swim upstream. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a good analogy, for all these things that we sort of resist. And I myself have done the same thing, tried to rescue a man, and it never really works. It just doesn't. But in that, you kind of learn more about yourself, right? And healing the wounds that caused you to even want to attempt that to begin with. So I feel like there's like conditioning and intuition in those decisions. But what about the decisions that I'm going to talk about a hot topic and I don't know. I have no idea if this has ever happened to you or in your family, but like a creepy guy, someone who might take advantage of younger children in your family. Have you had that happen before in your family?
In my family, I've been around CASA advocate, so I've
Okay.
been around children that have been taken advantage of, that have been
Right.
trafficked, that have been sexually abused, and so I have been around children. As far as creepy men or women, because right now we
Right.
also see that our women are doing that. No, there has not been, an instance that I've had to experience. I've had to experience it more so in a situation with one of my children as an adult, male, had to experience some trauma, um, you know, but I myself experience trauma, but not because of a family member. So no, in my life, no, I haven't had that experience of a creepy individual.
Well, somebody who might do you harm, let's just say, okay? So for me, that person was my stepfather, and he would do things that set my alarm bells off internally, and what that felt like was like it was like my body instantly said no to a suggestion of, "Let me show you how this new machine massager works on your back. Go ahead and lay down." And like everything inside me, while that isn't necessarily totally creepy, it's weird, right?
Right.
It's weird for another adult who doesn't know you all that well, because I didn't know him all that well at the time when he did that. Like, all my alarm bells kinda were going off, and that it was like my body restricted or constricted immediately and into a no position, right? But then I felt like I had to go along with it. I felt like I had to, like, out of politeness and not offending my mother, lay down and allow this massager to go up and down my back. At the time, he didn't do anything other than do that, but that was enough of a bound he was testing my boundaries and what I would allow, and my body responded to it, and I did not listen to it. So I was just kind of curious if you had something like that also happen to you, because those alarm bells, when we get them, I want to encourage people to listen to them, especially younger kids.
Yes. Now that you mention this, I mean, there are a couple instances that I can play out. One was one of my mother's ex-husbands. Not in a creepy sense, but I didn't trust him because I felt like he was a thief.
Oh, okay.
Like a thief kind of thing, and he
Yeah.
was. He would go because he had access to one of the keys to my apartment, and things were turning up missing, money, things like that. And so, and one day, and I felt it. I knew it said it couldn't. I know it's not my mother. I know it's not, and
Yeah.
I felt that it was him. And one day, I happened to catch him coming in to my apartment. He didn't think
Whoa.
I was home because my vehicle wasn't parked in the way where it was supposed to be. but I felt somebody was coming into my apartment. So every time I would walk into my apartment, I felt like someone was there. Somebody, I
That's
said, something
weird.
is off. Like
Wow.
someone's
Yeah.
been in here. And so every time, so I had those feelings of someone
Mhm.
being in my apartment, but I didn't have any concrete evidence.
So creepy. Yeah.
And so, but it was my senses telling me like something is off. And so, like, those
Right.
are things that, yes, you got to listen to. So, like,
Yep.
it was like, okay, someone's been in here. Something is off. I don't know. This doesn't feel right. My, like, I don't know, the energy, whatever you want to call it, but it was just off. But
Right.
one day I happened to be sitting in the house. My car wasn't there. And he's creeping in, opening the door very slowly. And he catches me and he gets shocked. And I said, what are you doing here? And he just quickly shut the door and everything. And I confronted my mother and I told her about this. Um, and, she didn't believe. She didn't believe me.
Mm. Must be the
She refused
generation.
to. Uh,
It really must be the generational thing.
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
gotta be the generation because I was like, "He did it. He was there. I saw him." And she was like, "No," you know?
Wow.
So, those so in that sense, there was something I felt off about him. I didn't get the vibes of being, a sexual predator, no.
Mhm.
But it was the vibes that something was off, and he was a thief. He was basically shady in that way. There was something that you just know, there's something not right about you. Don't know what it is, but something's not right about you, and I was right, you know?
How did you handle that conflict? Well, he guessed he left, but that would have
He
been
left.
scary,
He
like,
shut the door and he left. He left.
well, some people, like, don't, like the confrontation, so they take off, but other times, like, don't ever, like, listeners and viewers, don't ever put yourself into harm's way if
Yes.
you're in a situation that could turn dangerous, like, always, always approach safely with your intuition, but never put yourself in any harm. But I find that so interesting because I was like, "Oh my god, did she catch him in the act?" And, like, how would he respond to that? Would he retaliate? Or, would you be ultimately, it didn't matter because you were just listening to yourself and you approached it by talking to your mom, and she did you guys fall out of any kind of relationship because of that,
We
or
we did. We had a lot of, my mother and I, have had a very difficult, strained relationship. Um,
Mm,
and as much as I love her, I love my mother. I love her. And that's one of the things that's another thing that, um, the internal voice that you have to listen to for peace of mind. There are people in your life that you may love, but you have to learn to put those boundaries and know how, when the appropriate interaction should be. So with my mom, I deal with her in small dosages. So I do. I love her, but it's just that we have a relationship where she becomes very hurtful. And she says hurtful things. And so, and even though if I'm talking to her on the phone, I may say to her, the conversation is going one direction that I already know where it's going because I'm like, I've been down this road before. I already know where it's going. Mom, I think we should cut this conversation now. We'll talk later. I love you. You have a great night, whatever. And that's it. End the call. If you're going to go down that road, I want to continue talking to you. But if you're going to go down that road, then we end this call. So I set the boundaries with my mom.
that's
Um,
good, and you need to.
yeah.
Yeah,
In situations, so like I wanna, because she's coming to the tail end of her life, the cycle,
yeah,
we know that, and so I want to have memories with her. So I choose to spend 1 week with her and just having fun. Like, let's do fun things together.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
get in a car, drive down through all of Florida, because she lives out in Florida and I get in, pick her up at my brother's house and let's
right,
go down and visit family and take her for 3 days and drive down through Florida, go down to different parts, Miami, go to the coast, then come back and drive up and just have a good time with her in
right.
moderations, but having family there while we're on the road trip, driving our span, we have civil conversations. It's
That's
just,
good. Yeah,
but so to answer your question, yes, we have a very difficult relationship, and sometimes we have to just accept that we can't change the person. Again,
yeah,
we can guide them, accept them for who they are and just love them. Okay.
Yeah. And your intuition will take you down whatever road you need to go based
Right.
on the personality you're dealing with. I think it's okay to also love from a distance.
Yes.
So if it's difficult to, or you can't be around, like my mom doesn't talk to any of us kids, there's no relationship. So I try, but like she's responsive, but then nothing else. So I just have to stop bashing my head against the wall and just accept where she's at and say, okay, I can love you from a distance and all of that. But that's where my intuition tells me she's not. I mean, and her responses and not body language, but her responses and all that tells me like she's just not ready. And so I back off there. So our intuition can help us through different things. You hear about people who have a feeling that something bad's going to happen, or sometimes something good's going to happen. It just depends on what it is. Have you ever had any of those, like avoiding accidents or something to that degree? Those are
A
fun
lot of
ones.
Yeah, a lot of those, and my husband has had those too, so I can dive into, I remember there was one time that, I was at home, my son was at school, and I got this feeling something was wrong with my son. Something was wrong with my son. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And for whatever reason it was, I said, "I need to go to the school."
Mm.
And I went to the school and, and he was actually sick. He was having some stomach pains, and it turned to be appendicitis.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I felt that, I sensed that, and I attribute to the mother's bond. Um, and then I had another feeling. This was like really a really sad point where I dreamt that my child was crying. This is now my son as an adult man. I dreamt that he was crying and that he was assaulted, and um and about 3 days after, my son was sexually assaulted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So um but that was an instinct and I felt it in my dream. It came and I knew.
Yeah.
And when it happened, it was so hard because I knew before it happened. And that was one. So, I mean, I've had incidents like that. So there is that tie that you have so close. I'm very close to my children, very close. Um, and there is another one, and I'll share my husband. Just recently, I was gonna go volunteer for the FIFA volunteerism. The World Cup is being held, so I was called in for the FIFA, so I went, and my husband was telling me, "I don't want you to go. I don't want you to go." And I'm like, But I gotta go. I wanna go." You know, and he's like, "I don't want you to go." And it was just something there that was just telling him not to go, and that day I wind up getting this was just recently, about 2 weeks ago, got into an automobile accident. My car's totaled. And he sensed something was going to happen, but he didn't know what it was, and he kept trying to tell me, "Don't go out. Just don't go. Don't go." And I, regardless, didn't listen. I wanted to go, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." And I went, and coming back, some guy hit me, and so my car was completely totaled, and they totaled it out. It was paid off, which is a sad thing. My car was paid off, and oh god, I'm dealing with that. And plus, and the other intuition, I was surplus from the company, and I felt that that was going to happen. I was having this intuition thing calling me. And so when I lost my job, that was another thing, where before things happened, but I dismissed it. I wasn't really listening to it because what I should have been doing was proactively looking for work, and I wasn't. And I
Oh.
wound up getting cut. And so, but I felt that too. I knew that that was going to happen. Like I felt that happening.
You
So,
know what was interesting? So you just named 3 incidents, and after the first one, I was gonna ask you if you actually learned the lesson and learned to trust yourself, but then you told me the second story, and I went, "No, she didn't learn the lesson because she didn't listen to her husband." But by the 3rd time, you hesitated on acting on your intuition there. This is very interesting. Why are you doing that? Do you know? Like, we all do it, but I'm just asking you the question. It's a non-judgmental question. It's just like,
Right.
why do we
It,
do that to ourselves?
no, exactly. And it's a really great question. And that's why, because are distractions that we
Yeah.
have. Like
Uh-huh.
he doesn't want me to go out and have a good time. I was trying to justify it like that. He just doesn't want me to go out and, cause, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to justify it in that way. You're just trying to rain on my party. I'm going to go have fun. And, I want to volunteer. I want to do this. And meanwhile, I'm dismissing it, and he's really good at instinct wise. Like but I'm dismissing it because you just don't want me to have a good time. You want me to be here, just in bed, watching some TV and not doing anything. So I was dismissing that because I wasn't really in fact, he felt something. He said something. And I didn't listen to it. So I allowed, because sometimes you're so desperately wanting to do something. I'm using that instance because I really wanted to volunteer.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this. That you overlooking, like, I'm going to be fine. It's just him being overly concerned, or just kind of want to rain on my party. And you find excuses. And that's the thing, the common mistake that we all make. We find excuses. So yeah.
Or
So yeah, you're right. So
I mean, or one can see it a different way, right? Where maybe, yeah, we make excuses up because our egos are getting in the way of the thing that we're supposed to be paying attention to. But maybe that's the point. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen, so we learn something from it. Maybe as bad as things are sometimes, there's our evolution, our evolving and our learning. And you can't just learn from only good things. You have to have the opposite of it in order to gain any sort of learning or value or wisdom from it. So, and while I don't take this very lightly with what happened to your son, uh, I mean, what could you have done if you would have listened there? Like, if you would have taken that seriously, would it have avoided it or would it have delayed it?
and you're absolutely right. I think
Well, I
that
don't know if I am. I'm asking it if that's
no, no, I mean, you're absolutely right on one of the things that you said, because I think that was something that was meant to happen for him. It was
what has
in the
he
sense of
learned?
what would have been delayed. It could have been delayed. I could have heightened, but I think that in the overall, because of this experience that happened, as painful as it is, my son has grown and evolved in such a beautiful way, and it brought us closer. And
Yeah.
he saw, because of that particular experience, he was able to understand a lot of the choices that I made in life, where before he was very judgmental.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
yes. And so it was like his life lesson that he had to learn, where he became more empathetic and compassionate to the things the decisions that I made in my life.
Wow. That's big. That's very big. It's very humbling. Um, Wise, very wise too. He's obviously gone through a lot of work to reach that point. I do not feel I feel like he is as you were talking to this, I'm sorry I kind of maybe did something a little unethical by feeling that out, but I feel like he's very evolved and very whole and he has done a lot of therapy work. Would Yeah, that's how it felt to me as I explored it when you were talking to me about it, because obviously I would be, like, giving you the heads up if I didn't sense that there was anything real there that needed to be done, but, wow, that's really something, and that can help people, you know what I mean? Because people get stuck after violation. And by the way, that whole break-in to your apartment thing was a violation as well. It was just a different type of violation, and that's why I'm like, man, why do we hold back on like pot? It's because we don't trust ourselves. We also don't trust what we get. We like, well, what if I'm wrong, or what if this, or what if you just followed along? As I'm yelling at myself. It's not anyone else I'm yelling at, it's myself because 'cause I'm like, why do I not listen? I mean, I do now, but before, and I'm like, "Oh my god, could save myself so much heartache," but sometimes that's not the point. The point is sometimes you have to ignore so you learn other lesson. But you're getting the heads up ahead of time.
Exactly, and I think, and and you said something that was so beautiful and so true, that as unfortunate the experience may be, feeling that a violation or whatever it is, you take that and you can grow from it, and I saw that happen within my son.
Totally.
And people can do that. You evolve from it. You become more empathetic. You grow spiritually. And you begin to self-discover yourself. You begin to open up things that normally you would be so close-minded to. So I think that many times when tragedy happens,
Mhm.
it's how you deal with it.
Yeah, mindset.
Mindset,
Mhm.
exact. It's a mindset, how you deal with it, and then the outcome could be so beautiful. It can be.
Totally, 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 and, I'm so pleased to hear that for you, and I feel a lot of times people stay stuck in that fear-based response from being victimized by something like that. Um, Not abnormal, and I'm not judging because it's happened in my family, okay? And oftentimes there are people like your son who have a love-based response to that and have grown and evolved from it, and took it as something completely different and is being kinder and wiser and more empathetic in response to that versus the opposite, right? Where people tailspin, maybe use substances to numb themselves and they get stuck in a spiral going downward. But I want to encourage anyone who's been victimized by any of this stuff to seek help. Reach out to somebody who can help you if you feel that you need something. We're always here to talk to you too and point you in the right direction if you don't know where to go. So we'll put that caveat on there in having this conversation that we didn't even know we were going to touch on. Who knew? Our instinct just kind of led the way. So we'll see where that goes. But what are you doing now with your gifts? How has that evolved for you? And what does that look like?
Um, right now, when I'm using my gifts, it's leading me down to my current podcasts. It's not producing, generating any money, but although I wish it would, it's one of those things like you're
But
like,
it's helping people.
yeah, it's helping people, yes, and so, but and that's what I remind myself that, because it started off on the idea of helping others in pain. The world is in pain, in a lot of pain right now. People are in a lot of pain, and, even though you have all these people talking about self-help, all these things, I think that people are getting bombarded by so many stuff that
Hmm.
everything's being diluted, being lost, being, in the midst of the messaging. Some of it is just so marketed and like, pay me so I could teach you how to do this. And it's like,
Right.
no, should be a gift that you should give open and freely. Um, which is one of the things that when I jumped onto your thing,
Mhm.
on TikTok, uh, I really, really gravitated because you're a giver. You're not there. You genuinely, because you could tell when people are just wanting to get monetary gain
Right.
versus people that are genuinely wanting to help. There's a huge difference. And right now in our society, we have all these uh, motivational speakers, coaches, and everything, but there's a price tag to it. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have the money, the resources. And
Yeah. I think that there's some people are just really bad at it. Meaning that if this is your job and this is what you're going to do, you're seeing it completely wrong. Like you're not manifesting in the right way. You're trying to be salesy when you should be opposite. Helping people will then people will be gravitated toward you and you'll earn money for your services based on that rather than trying to take it. I don't know. That's just my view, but I'm not gonna judge others for what they do. They do what they do. Um,
exactly. And you're right. And one shouldn't be judgmental on that. And that's very true. But the evolution of the podcast was just
right,
so that people know you are not alone. We're
right.
all on this journey. Let's share our stories
Yeah,
because sometimes what happens many times when people are in their own world, they feel like they're alone. They're the only ones that are going through this.
totally.
And
Yeah,
in many cases, it may drive someone to do something that um they may take their life, because
right.
such despair. They're in such an isolation. But the idea is you're not alone. We're a community. We're going to
Yes,
figure it out. The feelings that you're feeling are very valid and real. They're
yes.
genuine, but let's work it out together. And I'm here to listen, or I'm here to talk out what I'm feeling so that you feel like I'm not alone. I feel that exact same way. This is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and that's so important because we have lost that sense of community in the society that we're living today. People are behind keyboards and they're not really interacting, and that community aspect is lost. We are people of tribe. We're meant to be in tribes of community. People
Mhm.
aren't meant to be alone and isolated.
Right,
And so when they
right.
feel alone and isolated, they don't have that sense of community. Life and in between is while you're in this in between moment, when you're feeling in your moment of isolation, whatever it is that you're going through, you are part of a community. You're part of la familia. You're part of going through something together and you're not alone. And that really was the idea and the concept of it, of giving that. And you did say that it's so very true that once you start giving, people are going to gravitate towards you. They're going to see the genuine. And then also, um, I think that that's when sponsors just step in.
Yeah,
They got this is something there that resonates for many people. I want to be a part of this journey as well.
right.
And and so everyone is helping each other. It's not about give me, and I'm taking everything. It's about all of us collectively working and helping each other. That's the idea.
That's exactly right, and that will come back twofold for you. So you're doing the right work, and eventually, someone you're going to help is going to be able to be into all these people you help. That maybe they say something to someone, and somebody else, and you just never know. Um, but I mean, you're doing it for the right reasons. So I'm confident something will come back to you that will help you because you've helped so many. And as far as me, I'm doing what my mission is. That's all I'm doing. So I'm just following the script because I'm laying in the river and I'm going with the flow of the current. It's taking me down the river and I don't know where I'm going, but I trust that we're going somewhere. That's kind of where I'm at. But I really have enjoyed our conversation today. I would like to have you back at some point because I feel like there's more to kind of peel back. This was a good conversation. You are a very layered person. And so I feel like there's so much that people are going to be able to pull from this episode for themselves. Um, so if they have questions and they want to ask you things or anything. Maybe they want to listen to your pod or whatever. How can they reach you?
They can reach me. Okay, so I'm all over social media, but they can email if someone feels comfortable in emailing me. Life and in between podcast at gmail.com. They can send that. And again, that's life and in between podcasts at gmail.com. They can also reach out through, I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me as Diana Gonzalez Lehboub. I even have a LinkedIn account for Life and In Between. So if they search on any, type in Life and In Between, they can find me through TikTok. They can find me through Spotify, Instagram. So I'm all over social media. Just send a DM. But the best way would be the email, and they can contact me through that way
Directly.
directly.
Yeah. I mean, you're like from like every corner of the web.
Yes. I'm in every corner. So you just type it in and you'll find me there. You'll find myself and
Funny.
my
Yeah,
co-host Pat.
that's good. And as always, I can be reached at csmuckmediumship at gmail.com and Pink Lion Mediumship everywhere, just like her.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diana. I have really enjoyed our conversation today.
So have I. Thank you.
And everyone out there, have a wonderful week. Happy New Year, everyone. And my goodness, trust your intuition, please. Start trusting yourself. Take care, everybody.